जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रजजन रांजन यशोदानंदन ब्रजजन रांजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी 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 जय गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी यशोदानंदन ब्रजन रांजन यशोदानंदन ब्रजन रांजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वन जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी बिहारी जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिवाजिकाचार्य अष्टोर श्रीमद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य डीवीडी फाउंडर आचार्य सेवर ऑफ द होल वर्ल्ड जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिवाजिकाचार्य स्टोर श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की जय। श्री नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जय। वृंदावन की जय। पुरी क्षेत्र धाम की जय। जगन्नाथ स्वामी की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नाम all glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयात्मधीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया। भगवते उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 8, titled Narayan Kavacha Seal, and we will be reading from text 20 today. Vanchakalpatarubhasya kripasindhivyo cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavyo namo namah. And I thank you, Balaram Prabhu, other devotees, for opportunity and seek your blessings. And please forgive if I say anything which is not aligned with Shastras, because I am very neophyte. So, thank you. All right. So, text number 20. Mam Keshavo Gadaya Pratah Avyat Govinda Asangavam Attavenu Narayanah Pranah उदात्त शक्ति मध्यम दिने विष्णु अरीन्द्रपाणिः मां केशव गदया प्रातव्यात् गोविंद सांगवम् अत्तवेनुः नारायण प्राण उदात शक्तिर मध्यम दिने विष्णु अरीन्द्रपाणिः मां केशव गदया प्रातरव्यात् गोविंद सांगवम् अत्तवेनुः नारायण प्राण उदात शक्तिर मध्यम दिने विष्णु अरीन्द्रपाणिः मां केशव गदया प्रातरव्यात् गोविन्दमसङ्गम् अत्तवेनुः नारायण प्राण उदार शक्तिर मध्यम दिने विष्णु अरीन्द्रपाणिः मां केशव गदया प्रातरव्यात् गोविंद सांगवम् आत्तवेनु नारायण प्रहन उदात शक्तिर मध्यम दिने विष्णु अरीन्द्रपाणिः Mam Kesho Gadaya Prataravyat Govindam Asangavam Attavenuhu Narayana Prana Udara Saktir Madhyam Dine Vishnu Arindra Panihi Mam Keshavo Gadaya Prataravyat Govindam Sangavam Attavenuhu Narayana Prana Udara Shaktir Mandhyam Dine Vishnu Arindra Pani Mam Keshavo Gadaya Prataravyat Govindam Asangavam Attavenu Narayana Prana Udara Shaktir Madhyam Dine Vishnu Arindra Pani Mam Me Keshava Lord Keshava Gadaya by his club Pratah in the morning hours Avyat may he protect Govinda Lord Govinda Asangavam during the second part of the day Attavenu holding his flute Narayana Lord Narayana with 4 hands Prana during the third part of the day Udat Sakti controlling different type of potencies Madhyam Dine during the 4th part of the day Vishnu Lord Vishnu Arindra Panihi bearing the disc in his hand to kill the enemies. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, HG Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. May Lord Keshava protect me with his club in the first portion of the day, and may Govinda, who is always engaged in playing his flute, protect me in the second part of the day. May Lord Narayana, who is equipped with all potencies, protect me in the third part of the day, and may Lord Vishnu, who carries a disc to kill his enemies, protect me in the 4th part of the day. Purport. According to Vedic astronomical calculations, day and nights are each divided into 30 ghatikas, 24 minutes, instead of 12 hours. Generally, each day and each night is divided into 6 parts consisting of 5 ghatikas. In each of these 6 portions of the day and night, Lord may be addressed for protection according to different names. Lord Keshava, the proprietor of the holy places of Mathura, is the Lord of the first portion of the day, and Govinda, the Lord of Vrindavan, is the master of the second portion of the day. So we can, I think, read more verses. So text number 21. I'll just read translation. May Lord Madhusudana, who carries a bow, very fearful for the demon, carries a bow, very fearful for the demons, protect me during the 5th part of the day. In the evening, may Lord Madhava, appearing as Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara, protect me, and in the beginning of the night, may Lord Rishikesha protect me. At the end of the night, in the 2nd and 3rd part of the night, may Lord Padmanabha alone protect me. May the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who wears the Srivasta on his chest, protect me after midnight until the sky becomes pinkish. May Lord Janardana, who carries a sword in his hand, protect me at the end of the night during the last 4 ghatikas of the night. May Lord Damodara protect me in the early morning, and may Lord Visheshwara protect me during the junction of the day and night. set into motion by the Supreme Personality of Godhead and wandering in all four directions. The disk of the Supreme Lord has sharp edge, as destructive as the fire of devastation at the end of millennium. As a blazing fire burns dry grasses to ashes with the assistance of the breeze, may that Sudarshana Chakra burns our enemies to ashes. O club in the hand of Supreme Personality of Godhead, you produce a spark of a fire as powerful as thunderbolt, and you are extremely dear to the Lord. I am also his servant. Therefore, kindly help me pound to pieces the evil living being known as Kushamandas, Vanikas, Yakshas, Rakshasas, Bhutas, Grahas. Please pulverize them. O best of counsel, O Pangjanya, in the hand of the Lord, you are always filled with the breath of Lord Krishna. Therefore, you create a fearful sound that causes trembling in the heart of the enemies like Rakshasas, Pramatha, ghost, Pretas, Matas, Pichasas, and Brahmanas, ghost with fearful eyes. O King of the sharp-edged sword, you are engaged by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Please cut the soldier of my enemies to pieces. Please cut them to pieces. O shield marked with 100 brilliant moon-like circle, please cover the eyes of the sinful enemies. Pluck out their sinful eyes. May the glorification of the transcendental name, forms, qualities, and paraphernalia of the Supreme Personality of Godhead protect us from the influence of bad planets, meteors, envious human beings, serpent, scorpion, and animals like tigers and wolves. May it protect us from ghosts and the material element like earth, water, fire, air, and may it also protect us from lightning and our past sins. We are always afraid of these hindrances to our species life. Therefore, may they all be completely destroyed by the chanting of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Lord Garuda, the carrier of Lord Vishnu, is the most worshipable Lord. For he is as powerful as Supreme Lord himself. He is the personified Vedas and is worshipped by selected verses. May he protect us from all dangerous conditions, and may Lord Vishwakarma, the Personality of Godhead, also protect us. The Personality of Godhead also protects us from all danger by his holy names. May the Supreme Personality of Godhead's holy name, his transcendental form, his carrier, and all the weapons decorating him as a personal associate protect our intelligence, sense, mind, and life, air from all dangers. The subtle and gross cosmic manifestation in material. Thank you, Prabhu. Purport. There are various associates of the transcendental Personality of Godhead, and his weapons and carriers are amongst them. In the spiritual world, nothing is material. The sword, bow, club, disc, and everything decorating the personal body of the Lord are a spiritual living force. Therefore, the Lord is called Advaya Jana, indicating that there is no difference between him and his names, forms, qualities, weapons, and so on. Anything pertaining to him is in the same category of spiritual existence. They are all engaged in the service of the Lord in varieties of spiritual forms. So I just read two more and then we discuss. The subtle and gross cosmic manifestation is material, but nevertheless it is non-different from Supreme Personality of Godhead because he is ultimately the cause of all causes. Cause and effect are factually one because the cause is present in the effect. Therefore, the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, can destroy all our danger by any of his potent parts. So this is the last one I'll read. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the living entities, the material energy, the spiritual energy, the entire creation are all individual substances. In the ultimate analysis, however, together they constitute the Supreme One, the Personality of Godhead. Therefore, those who are advanced in spiritual knowledge see unity in diversity. For such advanced person, the Lord's bodily decorations, his names, his fame, his attribute and forms, and the weapons in his hands are manifestation of the strength of his potency. According to their elevated spiritual understanding, the omniscient Lord who manifests various forms is present everywhere. May He always protect us everywhere from all calamities. Purport. A person highly elevated in spiritual knowledge knows that nothing exists but the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9.4, where Lord Krishna says, Māyā tatam idam sharvam, indicating that everything we see is an expansion of His energy. This is confirmed in Vishnu Puran. I'll skip the Sanskrit. As a fire, although existing in one place, can expand its light and heat everywhere, so the omnipotent Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although situated in His spiritual abode, expand Himself everywhere in both material and spiritual world by His various energies. Since both cause and the effect are the Supreme Lord, there is no difference between cause and effect. Consequently, the ornaments and the weapons of the Lord, being expansion of His spiritual energy, are not different from Him. There is no difference between the Lord and His variously presented energies. This is also confirmed in Padma Puran. Nama Chinta Mani Krishna Chaitanya Rasha Vigraha Purana Shuddha Nityamukto Bhinatvam Nama Namino. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 17.133. The holy name of the Lord is fully identical with the Lord, not partially. The word Purusha means, Purana means complete. The Lord is omnipotent and omniscient, and similarly, His name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, and everything pertaining to Him are complete, pure, eternal, and free from material contamination. The prayers to the ornament and carriers of the Lord is not false, for they are as good as the Lord. Since the Lord is all-pervasive, He exists in everything, and everything exists in Him. Therefore, even worship of the Lord's weapons or ornament has the same potency as the worship of the Lord. Māyāvādīs refuse to accept the form of the Lord, or they say that the form of the Lord is māyā, or false. But one should note very carefully that this is not acceptable. Although the Lord's original form and His impersonal expansion are one, the Lord maintains His forms, qualities, and abode eternally. Therefore, this prayer says, pātu sarvaiḥ na sadā sarvatra sama-gaḥ. May the Lord, who is all-pervasive in His various forms, protect us everywhere. The Lord is always present everywhere by His name, form, qualities, attribute, and paraphernalia. And they all have equal power to protect the devotees. Srila Madhvacharya explained this as follows. Eka eva paro Vishnu bahushyeti dhavasva aja tat chakti pradatvena swayam eva vyavasthitah satyanena mam devah pātu sarveshwaro hari. Umajnanatimirandhasya jnananjana salakaya chachirupurumilitam yena tasmai sri gurave namah. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim takripatamaham bande Sri Guru Tintanam pancha kalpataruvasya chakrapashindevevacha patitanam pavani vaishnavyo namo namah. Nitakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Yes, so based on my limited understanding, I wanted to share some thoughts around the topic today. So we know that demigods are in problem because they disrespected their spiritual master, and demons are in fortune because they respected their spiritual master and follows at the Sukracharya advised, and they gain the power. So we see that Lord is not partial towards anyone. Like he doesn't see this person is demon, so let me not give him power, or he's demigod, so let him be partial. So they lost the power, and then they approached their Adi Guru Brahma to get advice, and then they accept Vishwarupa as a priest, and then motive is to gain the power, fame, and then again become king of the cosmic manifestation and rule as administrators, right? And Vishwarupa, he advised in Lord Indra about this Narayan Kavacha. And I was thinking, first of all, to understand, I think yesterday Balaram Prabhu touched very nice point about mantra, right? These are Vedic mantras. These are composed in certain syllables, and if they are chanted properly, they produce right effect. But if they are not chanted properly, then they can produce a positive effect too, right? So many times when we talk to someone who is not conversant or not following Krishna consciousness, you ask them, Prabhu, Mataji, please chant this mantra, right? The concept of mantra is oversold because of so many yogis and Māyāvādīs. They have been selling mantras, as Dravida Prabhu and everyone says, stories of how they take certain money and give a mantra, and they keep it secret so that you can sell it more, like cryptocurrencies, right? Like the price goes high as hard code you can write for a cryptocurrency, right? The hard to break, the price is more. So they're like mantras, right? So why to chant mantra? Many people say, I got mantra from my guru. I mean, especially people in non-Krishna consciousness, even my father and mother, like they got initiation from family priest, and okay, but they never chant. So mantra, even if in this one, even for Lord Indra, he has to chant these mantra in order to get the power of those mantra at the right time and right place. And we have read what is the rule, like moving fingers, having postures, and having personality like demigods, then only we can chant Narayan Kavacha. Otherwise, it can have exactly opposite effect, right? So chanting mantra is not very much appreciated for people who don't believe in Krishna consciousness. Even people who are religious, they don't want to chant mantra because they think it's boring. Like it's not. What is the same thing you're repeating again like parrot, and what exactly you are going to get out of it, right? Like it's so crazy. Like maybe sometimes people say you are getting hypnotized by Maha Mantra. That's why every time you talk about Hare Krishna and Hare Krishna, right? So this is situation we see, right? And even if we see in education or material education what we get, the emphasis is not to give information. The emphasis is on practicing with that information and applying it, right? So at least people are very expert in learning that, applying it, because they know that they will get result out of it, right? There is a faith that if I do this, I get this out of it. But somehow, because of degradation of Vedic culture, this faith in the mantras has reduced. So therefore, people don't want to practice it. And people who believe there is they have a faith, they practice it, they get result out of it, right? But result is subtle. A lot of things, results are subtle. Some are manifested, like somebody chants, become more peaceful, very very calm, and becomes devotee. He or she can practice devotional life. But general population not interested in devotional life, they have no interest in mantras, and therefore mantras are useless for them. It's more of ancient Stone Age, not Stone Age even. They don't care, what is the source, right? Because they don't think beyond 4,000 years of history or maybe 10,000 years of history, right? So that's one thing I wanted to say. And then second point, people have a question: how can a sound vibration have effect? Right? Generally, it is thought that something which you can touch or perceive can have effect. Like a stone, if I hit with someone, they believe that it will hurt. But if I speak a mantra, nobody will believe that it's going to hurt, because they don't trust in that process. But we know that sound vibration has a lot of effect. A lot of scientific research has been done to understand the effect of classical music on plants, classical music on depression, and especially curing mental health disease. Everybody loves music. Why? Because there is something in vibration which they their mind takes and their heart becomes satisfied. But the moment you talk about religious related mantras, they talk about material mantras, which is a music, like playing very loud or soft or whatever. But when you talk about anything which is related to God, and especially when you talk about God is a person, and you have to chant, then this person will be very happy. And if you chant this vibration, no, because there is a fear of person, right? Unless there is no person, even in India, people are okay. They talk about Krishna is a consciousness. Krishna is not a person. He's a imaginary consciousness which goes away with the body, right? Māyāvādīs philosophy that. So there is a fear of person, and that's why there is a negation towards mantra, right? Now coming back to the Lord Indra's, King Indra's situation, he is trying to get a Narayan, Kavacha. And why he, the first thing, if you talk about like Krishna, or Krishna's all the weapons, whatever he has, are personalities, right? This is not acceptable if we talk to a common person, because how can a missile become a personality? Like, right? Like weapon, right? Like something conch shell, gada, and disc. How can they become personality? Like, right? How can a carrier become a personality like Garuda, right? How can a jewel become a personality like Kaustubha jewel on the chest of Krishna, right? But as the modern weapon research is progressing, we see that people sitting in San Diego on a cruise ship, they are launching missiles with a drone somewhere in Ukraine, or somewhere in Middle East, in Afghanistan, Syria, right? Like Russian people, there is a drone system. What is that drone? This is manless. There is no, essentially there is no person sitting in it, but there is a person controlling it, right? There is a person, and the person who created the drone, there is a person who created the drone. That means there is an intelligence in those weapons. They're not just running. This is about material situation. So if we humans with this small teeny brain sitting in the planet Earth, somewhere corner of the universe, can create such a weapon, because we are part and parcel of Krishna, so we do have those desires, tendencies, and abilities. If we and that's why we always aspiring for a lot of things which are in spiritual world. So we can create. But what about Krishna? If we can create, atomic weapons, so can Krishna not create weapons? And Krishna, and since in a spiritual world, I was thinking about this. How can a weapon of Krishna or ornament become a spiritual? A person, because in a spiritual world everything is spiritual. So what is spiritual? So in everyone's body there is a soul, which is spirit. That's what matters, right? In a spiritual world, everything is spiritual, completely spiritual. There is no question of part or here and there. So if something is completely spiritual, of course it has personality, and it have intelligence. It has everything which is required in spirit, because spirit is full of knowledge, eternal, and blissful. This is the three qualification to call someone as a spirit, right? And if it has it, then it become a person, right? Whether we believe or not, it is there, because we don't believe, because we don't have no understanding about the spiritual realm beyond this limited light of 60-70 years at the moment. And even if we go to previous yugas, like Satyugas, people live to lakhs of years, thousands of years. Still, there was the time span we are looking at is very small as compared to time span what we talk in the spiritual world. It's totally different. Actually, there is no effect of time in the spiritual world, but at least talk about higher planetary system where Lord Indra is sitting. The time factor is very wide compared to here. Like we are looking at very few years of life, right? So that way we can understand that the weapons can have personality, and we know that in material world the weapons Aswasthama released, Brahmastra, he doesn't know how to withdraw it, right? So but Arjuna could withdraw it, which means that weapon Brahmastra has the intelligence. It was not just a material thing thrown out of something. It were spiritual weapons, right? And we just know about, Prabhupada says often, like we know about weapons about fire so far. We have just created a weapon with all the fire qualities, but we don't know air weapons, we don't know water weapons, people don't know so many varieties of material, capacity weapons, right? So that's one thing. The second point here we see Lord Indra is fearful, and they are like pierced with arrows and they are bleeding, literally. And what they are asking for, right, from their guru, if you Svarūpair, like, please give me protection. They are not asking for liberation or, spiritual life. Why don't they ask for that? Because they are advanced, and they are more advanced than any human being, right? That's why they become a demigod, right? They got administrative post. So I was thinking, and if we came to an understanding that actually the demigods are not following the path of loving devotional service, right? What they are following is of course Vedic principles, religious principles, and do yajna, get power and rule, right? But they are devotee because they are serving, but they are not pure devotee because they are more of doing administration than following following regulated. They may be following, but not like direct worship of Krishna. They are more in going to Brahma and can you ask Lord Vishnu to give us some solution to this problem? This is what situation is. But if we contrast to what we study in Bhagavatam in different places, and even Srila Prabhupada or our disciplic succession, the devotees don't fear. First of all Krishna consciousness gives fearlessness, right? So all the problems which demigods go through is taken away because it empowers to become person fearless, right? And we see so many examples, right? When Amrish Maharaj was attacked by Rakshasa, by Durvasa Muni, he did not go and ask Krishna for protection. He knew, he was convinced that Krishna will protect. That's why Sudarshan Chakra was there to protect him. There is no question of protection because it's like omnipresent kavacha. The Amrish Maharaj doesn't have to chant Narayan Kavacha to get a protection because he was having a devotional serving kavacha, or you can say Mahamantra Kavacham, to protect. And like us, right, all of us chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and most of the time, even at least I can say about me that don't realize that how powerful this mantra is, right? It's a Maha mantra given by disciplic succession and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then I was thinking, why did he give a Maha mantra in this age, right? He could have given many kavacham, many kind of mantras. I mean, if we read Narayan Kavacha itself was enough to protect us to live peacefully like Vaikuntha here, right? Like that's what Indra is trying to achieve. Because I think he knew very perfectly well, which we learned from Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, and Prabhupada always says that we are so fallen and the time is so degraded. We don't have capacity to practice all these mantras. Even if we learn, at least I can say about me, I can't control my mind for a second. What I'm going to do with these mantras, moving fingers, and I'm not purified in my own consciousness, what I'm going to do with this, right? That's why Lord Chaitanya came, Krishna came in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he gave simple, at least we can say there is no rule for a beginner to chant this Mahamantra. And it is simple, just 16 syllables made up of three different words. Repeat it. Sorry. 32 syllables? Yeah, sorry. 32 syllables, 16 words, and three words basically, Hare Krishna and Ram. And if we have a faith in it, then it works. So many times people again come up with logic that if you get a mantra from anywhere, how does it matter? If it has a potency, it should work, right? Like for example, many people don't want to accept a guru. They don't want to take mantra from, during initiation, essentially what happens, right? It's not that guru is going to give you a Narayan Kavacha and you just you employ around you and you're going to just be protected with everything. It's more of having that submissive attitude and shelter, seeking a shelter, right? If we are not submissive and not seeking shelter like Lord Indra, then again same problem will come. We may get some power and then we will fall down because there is a pride factor which will never go away. The false ego is not going to go away till the time we are in this body, because this body is made up of those elements, right? But if we chant this Mahamantra seriously, and we can surely achieve at least spiritual life in this particular moment. So then sometimes there was a discussion a devotee was sharing with me, and it's a discussion between two people. I don't remember, it's been many years ago, some brahmachari in India I was connected to the temple. And it's very interesting and applies to me also because as a scientist, it's very hard for a scientist to surrender and to accept something which is they cannot experiment with. They cannot, manipulate, experiment and do things, right? So the discussion was that between two persons, one person was a devotee, another person was a non-devotee, and the non-devotee person was questioning Prabhu, or with the name they don't call Prabhu at all. They call with Pawan. What if at the end of life you realize there is no Krishna? What will happen to you? Like you lost all your life chanting Hare Krishna, worshipping Krishna, worshipping God as as person, but at end of life, if you get this information that there is nothing like that, you just waste. What is gonna happen, right? And it's a very interesting question because this is where the fear that's why sometime during even practicing devotional life, people fall down because they somewhere in the heart they realize maybe there is no result in this, right? I'm struggling so much in devotional life, I'm just going through so much trouble, and maybe materialistic people are more well off because they are more philanthropic, nice to other persons, and they are having nice life at least, right? What I'm doing day and night is chanting 3 hours for 3 hours every day, and every time going to temple and doing all this. It's a valid, right? So then the devotee asked the next person that, what if at the end of your life, moment you are about to die, you realize there is Krishna? What are you gonna do at that moment? Right? They can realize it, but I think the idea was that somebody told, just before the death, that there was a Krishna, but you couldn't do anything. Now you're going to do. You just lament that moment, right? I should have done something, right? I could have used this life to practice Krishna consciousness. And for the person, he replied, the Prabhu, the devotee, that even if I know at the end of life, though it's not true, that there is no Krishna. Somebody, I learned that. Then at least throughout this lifetime, I was blissful, happy, having nice time. Because nobody we cannot perceive what happens after death. It's a subtle. The body, ego, false ego, mind goes to the next body. And we can't give a proof, right? But at least at the moment, while living the life, I was very, respectful, very honest, very peaceful, I had happiness, not just happiness, it was a bliss. Most of time festival, celebrating, doing kirtan, sankirtan, helping people out. I had a blissful life. Why do I care so much, what will happen, So who is in better position, right? Both people are working, both people are doing something. And even if we don't have a very strong, convincing faith, it's still, practicing Krishna consciousness is more rewarding than not doing it, because at least in the present, the results are there, right? Rather than lamenting, and who knows what will happen after death. Nobody knows. We understand that if we remember Krishna at the time of death by chanting these mantras, following the regulated principles, doing deity worship, if, fortunate, if the Krishna is merciful, there is element of mercy. We should, at least I try to understand this, that there is an element of mercy. We can do everything in our capacity throughout life, but if mercy of Guru, Krishna, devotees is missing, personal endeavor is not going to produce any result. So there is no point in becoming very, very much proud if somebody knows mantras or kind of have very expert knowledge, because at the end of the day, the test is at the time of death, the consciousness, right? If the mantras produce a Krishna conscious knowledge and thoughts, then it's good. But if they are not, if they are creating pride, if they are creating, feeling more powerful, Like Lord Indra wants to have a Narayan Kavacha and become powerful, and in everything. I was just thinking when I reading earlier, it's so much ghastly. Take this weapon, go this kill person, kill this person, kill that person, kill. Devotees never pray for killing anyone. They pray for their advancement, but not, okay, I should advance, but other person should fall down, right? The purpose is to have self-elevation, right, rather than harming anyone. So even at the level of demigod, they want to kill demons. Right? But the devotees don't. Like Lord Narada Muni, when he is cursed, he's okay, fine, I take as a mercy. But if even religious, I won't say materialistic, the religious person who is not direct devotional service, if they are cursed, they become super angry. We see so many examples in Shastra, I don't have to name it. Like it's filled of such stories, contrast, right? Devotees versus non-devotees. So here we have our Mahamantra Kavacham. And I think, at least listening and trying to think about this story, I feel convinced that we don't have to worry too much, right? Even if something happens, we don't need Kavacha. Krishna has a direct protection, right? All these Kavacha is like an integration of all the energy of Krishna. So it becomes a Narayan Kavacha, like all the carriers, conch shell, ornaments and everything, right? His power, energy. So we have Mahamantra, and I think we are okay with it. It's more than integrated. It is more like Maha Kavacham. And if we do it in this age, if there is a mercy, the idea is not achieve power, so there is no question of fear. And we go back to Godhead peacefully, not like fighting and having all those ghastly affairs, the wars. And actually we have a war against Māyā. This is what we are fighting. We have the war. That's why we need a weapon and kavacham, right, to protect ourselves. Otherwise, Māyā is gonna pull us, and it drags very fast. I have felt sometimes, so I can say that it's very powerful, very, very powerful than we can think of. Even we are practicing devotional service, the strength of Māyā is very powerful, because Krishna says, Mam Māyā Durutteya is Krishna's energy. So we should not forget that we are fighting against Krishna's energy, but in inferior forms. So it's not a fight, it is a test also, right? We disturb people in the Krishna lokas, we fall down. Now if we don't reform and then go back there, we again disturb them, right? So we disturbed devotees in the Krishna loka. We fall down because we were trying to create disturbances there by our own, ideologies or wanting to enjoy alone. We fall down here. Now this is a test. We are fighting against Māyā, having all this material body full of all the things which is not required for devotional service. And if we don't kind of be strong with Mahamantra Kavacham, and then just having Kavacham is not enough, it has to be applied, practiced, right? Without application, there is no purpose of anything, right? So if we apply it, we reform, then our soul, our subtle body goes back to Godhead, and we have eternal life. And maybe become one of the ornaments, or one of the weapons, one of the, who knows, depending on how much they are advanced, they can become and serve Krishna eternally, like so many things are listed. So yeah, I would end here. And yeah, there is so many things I read, so I don't think I can cover so many aspects of verses here. But I think summary is to stick to the Mahamantra. I think that will save us. We don't need Narayan Kavacham. We are not qualified to even do that. We are just qualified for Mahamantra. So that's a fortune, because it's blissful, simple. Okay, even if you do offenses, it works. But if Narayan Kavacha do offenses, it's gonna be finished. So, yeah. And mercy can help us. Mercy of Guru, mercy of spiritual master, Prabhupada. Mercy of devotees is more powerful, I think, than getting mercy from devotees is easier than getting mercy from Krishna. So seek for mercy and from devotees. Thank you so much for listening.
I have a question.
Yes.
About the time of day. What time of day is it right now? There are 4 parts of the day.
Yeah.
So maybe, I know in the afternoon I always am very attracted to Māyā. That's when I go out and play. But,
Yeah.
so I got to be really careful in the afternoon. And so who is that I have to...
Govinda.
Govinda in the afternoon. I better,
Yeah.
meditate on that in the afternoon. So, no, that was it. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Try this mantra, help you meditate. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Hare.
This works in every time in a day and night. So, any place, time, circumstance.
That was in 1970. Now it's 3,500. Sorry. Prabhupada actually mentioned this little conundrum, or this question that you came up with at the beginning. Now, he didn't not exactly that way, but he's saying, even if it's not true, look at how joyful we are. So therefore you should invest in it. In other words, therefore you should join up. But you're right about this whole section, and I was wondering about it. Is that there's a certain because the demigods are sakama devotees. That's what's important to realize. Is that it's all approaching from, the whole thing started because Indra became intoxicated with his power and so forth, and ignored his spiritual master. And try to apply that to what we know about when Prabhupada would visit his temples. I mean, the devotees were ecstatic because of him. They all hit the floor, exactly the opposite. The last thing in the world is said, "Oh, Prabhupada's coming. Yeah, I got an appointment." No, forget the appointment. So that attitude is different. Why? Because the relationship is different. Prabhupada gave us our life practically, and to have him come personally and a personal relationship, it's just it's a whole different thing. These demigods are in great anxiety because they lost their kingdom, but the devotional of service begins, the pure devotion begins when you give up all claims to things. Everything belongs to Krishna, and you live as simply as possible, and you're not sakama. You're not sakama devotee. That's an offense. To enjoy things in the name, to commit sinful activities by material enjoyment in the name of chanting. That's an offense. And if you keep doing that, you'll lose your taste for chanting. You say, "Oh, this doesn't work." Like I remember one devotee, he was an old devotee, and he did a lot of service, but then he got attracted again by Māyā. And then another devotee met him in the store one day. This is many years later. This is more recently. This is like 20 years later. And all he could say was, "Oh, it didn't work for me." Yeah, it didn't work for you because you didn't surrender, because you weren't vigilant to not commit offenses, because then Krishna will withdraw his mercy, and you'll be entangled again. So this idea that, what happens if you at the end of life and you say, "Oh, there's no Krishna," So the thing is that is so absurd, because what I was thinking when you said that is that it's a question of faith, because what we're believing in, you have to start out, you can't see it hokshaja, that's the definition of transcendental, but you have a direct experience of the spiritual master, and then there's a parampara. Is it all just a lot of stories made up about Rupa Goswami and Bhaktivinoda Thakur and all of them? What do they have to gain out of it? Prabhupada came to America, where with no money, and at the end of his life he could have easily stayed in Vrindavan and just chanted Hare Krishna. But he sacrificed everything. It obviously wasn't for gain or fame or anything like that. And he maintained that austerity and that compassion and generosity, even though during those 12 years. Sometimes he would say, finally, if the GBC will just take over the management, I can stay in one spot and read and write, right? You can read his biography. Yeah. But it never happened, because devotees are always writing letters, Prabhupada, please visit, That wonderful movie I mentioned that was made, the Empowered Acharya Returns. I don't know if you saw it. But this is something that I didn't hear before. And that is that Prabhupada, after he had his stroke, he went back to India to regain his health, because it didn't work in Northern California, they know the story. It was too cold and wet, Okay, and he got the Ayurveda there and so forth, and Kirtananda was with him and helped him, and then he came back. But according to this movie, Prabhupada was saying, and he's quoting him, that I was going back there thinking I was going to die, planning to die in Vrindavan, But they kept writing me letters. Come back, right? And you can imagine those heartfelt letters that devotees, because Prabhupada was the life of the movement. There's no question of it going on without him at that point. And so then he returns. The whole thing is built on love and respect, and that's the difference. It's tinged with a lot of material thing, because they're Sakama devotees. And they lost their kingdom. Now we have to, get the coverage. And then they make mistakes. And then the fact that Indra, after all this, right, he flies off the handle at Vishnu. He cuts off his heads, not one, 3. And they all, what is that? That's not bhakti.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu, for the point. Maybe one point I would say. I was thinking at the point of love, right? The love. So we know that we read in Krishna book that Yashoda, Mata Yashoda and Nanda were worshipper of Lord Vishnu. They used to worship Vishnu in their house, right? So when calamities used to come, they used to do first thing to protect Krishna, right? And then second, they may pray to demigods or Vishnu to give protection to Krishna. So ultimately there was the element of love. It was love and care which kept them. Then when they were doing that, then Krishna is protecting them. There is no question of any other demigod and coming. Lord Shiva is not coming to protect. Lord Brahma is not coming, because Krishna is there, right? So if we just have a loving devotional service, then Krishna protects us everywhere, in any situation.
One thing I just remembered, and then I'll stop. And that is, after, I think it's Trinavarta came, I forget when, but they performed the sacrifice very similar to this. Remember? That Mother Yashoda and all of them, may Narayan protect you when you're walking, may protect your left side, your right side, like that. So they're also doing that for Krishna, because they don't know he's God.
Not to kill someone, not to kill a demon, rather than, the idea was to protect, and not to harm anyone.
Them, it was to protect him.
Yeah.
That's the whole difference. Yeah. May I be protected in this way and go and, no. May Krishna be protected. And when later on he was like, 6 years old, 7 years old, they had no cause to pray to Krishna, when Indra was sending down. Yeah. He's 7 years old. Krishna, please. They have no other recourse. They don't say, Narayan, please save us. No. Krishna, please save us. He lifts the hill. Something miraculous.
Yeah. So.
Hare Krishna?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, I can hear. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I have a question. May I?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, thank you very much. You're very kind, Prabhu. In the purport to the text you chose for today, text 20, I see that not in the purport, in the translation is all about requesting from the Lord protection. And this subject related to trying to get protection from the Lord inspires me to ask the following question. If God is all good, why did God create a place like the material world where there is danger at every step? That is my question.
Yeah, that's interesting. Thank you for your question.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so it's very interesting thing, right? Like people question always that why does wrong thing happens to people if the God is in good people, or even I was listening Prabhupada interview in India, and India reporters are also religious, right? So I'll come back to your question, but just giving a background. So a reporter in Delhi asking Prabhupada, Swamiji, why do we need to practice religious and all this, what you're talking, when people are dying of hunger in India, like 1970 was famine, and people were dying on the street out of food, right? So why they are dying? Like we should give money for feeding them rather than building temples, building centers, and then said, since they are also child of God or Krishna, so they should be given protection than worshipping a deity or creating temples, right? And then Prabhupada said, yes, they are children of Krishna, but they are disturbing children. That's why you have a jail. The jail is also part of the government, right? The jail is part of the government. Government maintains the jail. There is a jailer, right? But then why people put into jail? Because they were disturbing ongoing, situation. They were disturbing, peaceful people. They were having problem like we were doing in in spiritual world. We were disturbing. So Krishna created this because he cannot throw us out of nowhere, cannot throw in the void, right? He could have thrown somewhere in this space, go hang around and have nothing to do it, right? But he at least mercifully created this space for us where, and he gave shastras, he sends devotees to teach us, and he comes personally. He just came, 4,000 years ago. He just, sorry, 5. Oh yeah, the recent one. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 500 years ago, he regularly comes in his various forms, right? Why he comes? Because he loves us. Otherwise, why do person care? Even in jail, people visit to even ghastly criminals because their parents, family member love them. Still, they know they are ghastly. They have done so big crime, but people visit them. Why? Maybe after some time the person becomes good, and if the government considers, then they release them, give a parole, now you can be free. Similarly for us, so there is an element of mercy. Parole is what? A mercy. Like a mercy plea people file for criminals. Can you now at least end of life leave this person out of this prison, let him be free. Similarly, if our Guru files a plea, okay, this person, can let him go, Krishna, don't keep him, let him now go back to free world, right? Possibility, but there is element of being nice in the jail also. In the jail one cannot do all the nonsense, otherwise the prison time will increase, the stay duration will increase, right? It can't reduce. Similarly in material world, if we keep on doing it, it will go millions of lifetime, who knows what body, what form, what planet, I don't know. There is no end, and I don't know how much I have done in past. So I think that's my understanding, Prabhu.
So in accordance with your answer, while living in the material world, we are always risking, if we do not behave properly in accordance with the plan of the Lord, we are always risking to go to jail.
Eternally stay in the jail, there you don't have to go.
In the material world, the jail exists because if we do not behave properly in accordance with the law of the Lord and the law of the state, jail is there to punish us.
Yeah, so there is element of having constitutional position, right? So a jailer or the police in the jail is also living in the jail, but they are not suffering because they are having that duty. Right, their duty is to maintain the jail. Like Māyāvādīs, she has a thankless task of maintaining and punishing people and doing all nonsense, right? But it's not that Krishna is trying to take revenge. That if you don't do nice, I'll it's like a more of revenge nature, relationship. No, the idea is we gain our constitutional position, which is serving Krishna, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
It's not about. Because that's where Krishna knows he is a father, we will be happy. So the element of welfare is there. It's not an element of revenge. That okay, you do it, you get it. Long-term welfare, yeah. Question? Thank you. Yeah, yes, Prabhu, I have to leave. Hare Krishna.